Body image after weight loss surgery. How do you cope when what you see in the mirror doesn't measure up to your expectations? Join me for this episode of WLS Delight as we explore why you're feeling this way and 4 tactics to help you learn to accept and even love your beautiful body. In the days leading up to surgery, did you envision yourself with a figure that looked like it walked right off the Paris fashion runway? Or maybe you saw yourself rocking a body similar to that of your favorite celebrity or professional athlete. I know I did. Instead, I wound up with droopy boobs, bat wings, wrinkly belly rolls, and legs so jiggly I made Jell-O look stable. I did have some work done 16 years ago, but I still had plenty of areas I was insecure about. Plus, the work left me with some pretty noticeable scars. Fully clothed in pants and long sleeves, I feel pretty good about myself. But for years and years, I struggled with my body image when parts of me were on display. Like when I had to wear a bathing suit, a sleeveless bridesmaid's dress, or shorts. It was my niece who helped me start down the path to overcome my body image issues. We were vacationing in Arizona, staying at a hotel that had a water park. Like any 7-year-old, all she wanted to do was swim in the pool, float down the lazy river, or zip down the water slides. For me, this meant wearing the dreaded bathing suit. I felt like I was not only stripped of my clothes, I felt stripped of every last bit of confidence. Every step I took, I could feel the skin on my legs jiggle. You know that feeling where it reverberates? The skin jiggles so much that it almost feels like your body's having its own personal earthquake? That's what I felt like. I was so distracted worrying about everyone judging my body and looking at me with disgust. My niece and I were playing in the water, and at some point she was just like, "I love you." And I responded, "I love you too. In fact, I love you so much that you're the only person I'd get into a swimsuit for." Now, in hindsight, that was not a good comment to say in front of a young, impressionable girl. I mean, the last thing I want to do is pass on my body image issues to her. Fortunately, she's a wise soul far beyond her years. She looked at me and she said, "Nobody here cares what your body looks like. Let's just have fun." Those words of wisdom from a 7-year-old made me realize I was so focused on how much I disliked my body that it buzz-killed my mood, and I was missing out on truly enjoying this special time with my niece. It was that moment I decided to really work on my body image. It's still a work in progress, but I'm going to share with you what I've learned. Why do so many of us hate our bodies? There are a few things happening here: post-surgery body distortion, media influence, and social pressure. Body image distortion after surgery is super common. When it occurs, you're unable to see yourself as you really are when you look in the mirror. Your perception of your body features and size is totally distorted. It's not just visual, it can also physically feel like parts of your body are larger than they actually are. I can't tell you how often I hear my bariatric buddies say things like, "Man, I've lost more than 100 pounds and logically I know my body is now right size, but when I look in the mirror, I see my body as large as it was before surgery." This can be painful, confusing, and even depressing. Many believe that it simply takes your brain time to catch up with your body. The rate at which you lose weight after surgery is often pretty drastic. For many, what you've been seeing in the mirror for years and years before surgery has made a lasting imprint in your mind. And that doesn't fade overnight. It's kind of like footprints in the sand. As you walk along the wet sand on the beach, you leave footprints. And as time goes by, the waves roll in over the impressions your feet have made. Little by little, the power of the water lessens the imprint you left until finally it's erased. The same is true for your body image, but erasing the imprint of your past body on your mind takes a little bit longer than erasing those footprints in the sand. There are some tools to speed up that process, and I'll share those with you in just a bit. A lot of blame for our negative body image can also be placed on the media. Magazines, television shows, and advertising campaigns overwhelmingly present slender, toned women with no signs of cellulite or buff dudes with chiseled six-packs as the norm. According to the National Eating Disorders Association, 69% of elementary school-age girls who read magazines say that the magazine's images influence their concept of the ideal body shape. There was also a study done way back in 2003 by Harvard researchers on how exposure to television shows impacted body image and eating disorders in the Pacific Island community of Fiji. Before gaining access to cable television, the majority of that community found fuller figures more aesthetically pleasing than slender ones. Within 3 years of introduction to cable TV, the rates of anorexia and bulimia rose drastically. And girls who watched the shows 3 times a week or more were 50% more likely to adopt a distorted body image. We're comparing ourselves to a body type that is not even common. Did you know that the average Victoria's Secret model is about 5'10", wears a size 4 dress, and there's not a lump, bump, or stretch mark in sight? Yet the average woman is 5'4", wears a size 18 dress. On top of that, 90% of women have cellulite and 70% have stretch marks. This is a clear indication that media is glamorizing body shapes that very few of us can achieve. The third contributor worth mentioning is peer pressure. From the time we're young, we feel peer pressure from people we interact with regularly to look a certain way, especially when it comes to our bodies. Peer pressure shows up in many ways. Since you already know a lot about peer pressure, there's just a couple things I want to highlight that you might not be aware of. How often have you commiserated with friends about things you don't like about your body? Like, have you ever said, "Oh my gosh, look at my stupid muffin top," or "Dang it, I've got so much cellulite, my thighs are lumpier and bumpier than the lunar surface"? Know this. Words become much more powerful when you say them out loud. Saying negative things about your body out loud makes that your truth. It becomes your identity. Verbalizing negative thoughts about your body can even impact your behavior. Expressing your negative body image to friends doesn't just hurt you. These comments often hurt your friend too, because this type of negativity is so often contagious. I'll never forget a time I was hanging out with one of my besties, and she had long struggled with weight and overcame it, but not in her eyes. At 5'8", she had lost so much weight that she was wearing a size 6 pants, and she looked spectacular. Yet she grabbed her skin at her waist and made a disparaging remark about needing to lose a bunch of fat. In that single moment, I went from happy and bubbly to totally depressed. I was knee-deep in my bariatric regain at the time, up 3 sizes, and when she pinched her tummy, in my mind it shined the spotlight on how large and uncomfortable I felt in my body. So remember this, negative things you say about yourself don't just hurt you, they hurt other people you care about too. With body distortion, media influence, and peer pressure, it's no wonder we fail to see how beautiful our bodies are. Worse, we're passing our insecurities and self-deprecating thoughts on to the next generation, like I was doing with my niece. Are you ready to turn that around? Good, because I've got 4 tactics you can use to start appreciating how freaking awesome your body is. Tactic 1 is change the conversation. Often, one of the greatest obstacles in your journey to right-sized living is, well, it's you. Seriously, take a look at the internal dialogue that's been going on in that head of yours. How many times have you thought or said something negative about your body just today? When you're saying all this negative crap about yourself, you're steering yourself in the wrong direction. You get more of what you focus on, my friend. Here's how you begin to change that conversation. First, stop saying negative crap out loud. It's far more damaging than just thinking it. When you verbalize your thoughts, you give them power. There's a former Navy SEAL named Chad Wright. He says, your tongue is your rudder. It impacts your direction and outcome. You know, your brain believes what you say out loud and will help you manifest something that you might not want. So practice what Mom preached about keeping those lips zipped if you don't have anything nice to say about yourself. Second, every time you do catch yourself saying something negative about your body image, immediately come up with 2 things positive about your body and state it out loud. I've got a great butt, or I love my curves. Got it? For every negative, replace it with 2 positives and say those positives out loud and proud. Beating yourself up about your body is probably something you've been doing a long time. It can take some time and practice to change that conversation in your head, but there's a ton of research that reiterates the importance of doing so. There was a study conducted at New York University, which was later replicated at Cal State San Diego, in which student participants in one group were asked to verbalize sentences using words associated with aging or the elderly, using words and phrases like getting older, walking stick, grandma, and gray hair. Student participants in a second group were asked to create sentences using words that represent youth and mobility, words like running, speed, and vitality. Without knowing they were being timed, students were then asked to walk down a corridor and return. It turned out that the spoken words impacted the speed at which they walked. Those who had said words associated with the elderly walked slower than those who had just spoken words associated with a person who's very active. Your spoken word impacts your behavior. So remember, stop verbalizing the negative, and anytime you slip, replace that negative with 2 positives that you love about your body. Tactic number 2, wear clothes that make you feel good. When it comes to your wardrobe, wear stuff that makes you happy and wear clothing that fits properly. This may sound silly, but what you wear makes a huge impact on your mindset, how you feel about yourself, and your body image. Do you know there's actually a scientific term called enclothed cognition? No joke. Enclothed cognition is the systematic influence that clothing can have on the wearer's psychological processes. Think about it. I'll bet you have outfits that are your favorites. You put them on and you just totally transform. Maybe it's a power suit. Maybe it's a certain color that accentuates your best features. It could be a uniform like a team jersey, a doctor's coat, or dress blues. Maybe it's even your lucky underwear. As a rule of thumb, if it doesn't make you feel really good when you put it on, perhaps that garment should not have a home in your closet at all. It's in your best interest to start thinking like Goldilocks. Avoid baggy clothes that fit like a tent. Some psychologists consider a baggy t-shirt paired with loose stretch pants a depression uniform. I can totally see that. That's exactly what I wore when I was over 200 pounds and my self-esteem was in the dumpster. Also, avoid anything that's going to make you feel like a stuffed sausage. If it's too tight, you're going to focus on how uncomfortable you feel. I know if I wear a pair of jeans that's too tight, it creates that little muffin top, and all I can think about is trying to hide the darn thing. So if you don't already do so, it's time to begin wearing clothes that fit just right. And wear the colors that make you feel good. If you don't know what those are, I find a good rule of thumb is to think about which outfits receive the most compliments when you wear them. I'll bet you that's one of your most flattering colors. Tactic number 3 is celebrate your body. Your body is freaking amazing, no matter what size or shape. Instead of nitpicking everything that in your mind isn't perfect, start seeing the beauty in your body and all the amazing things it empowers you to do. Things like movement, walking, dancing, skipping, running, riding a bike, playing in the park. Look at how your body allows you to express yourself. Facial expressions, hugs, intimacy with your special someone. How about all the stuff you don't see, like the lungs that allow you to breathe, the heart that keeps you alive, the brain that helps you think, and the nerves that help you feel? It's easy to forget how awesome your body is and take it for granted. However, the second it's not working right, wow, then you realize just how amazing it is. Like, how much does it suck when you get sick and your body feels drained of energy? Ever break a bone and suddenly you weren't able to do everyday tasks? To elevate your body image and to recognize it for the amazing machine it is, simply identify what you love about your body and celebrate those things regularly. Write down at least 5 things that you love about your body and why you love each of those things. Like, I love the curve where my waist and hips meet. It makes me feel sexy. I love my eyes. They're the first feature that pops when people see me. They express my feelings and they help me see all the beauty in the world. I love my fingernails. They're strong and they're a nice shape. They help me do things like open packages. Just like that. I promise you can find at least 5 things that you love. Once you identify these things, celebrate them regularly. It can be just taking a moment to stop and appreciate these body features, or you can do self-care to treat these body parts nicely. Perhaps it's moisturizing or exfoliating your beautiful skin, painting your awesome nails, or maybe it's going for a walk to celebrate your amazing legs that move you from point A to point B. Seriously, your body is awesome in so many ways. Learn to appreciate it and celebrate your body every day. Tactic number 4 is look at positive data. This tactic is really important for those of you with body image distortion. Look at positive data. Put a photo of you at your largest size next to a present day photo. When looking at these images side by side, it's pretty hard not to see how far you've come. I keep a before and after on my desk so I am reminded how far I've come. Seriously, even if you've regained a little, don't look at the photo of the highest weight and the lowest weight and beat yourself up for where you are now. No, no, no. That will have the exact opposite impact you want and drive you further down the rabbit hole. Focus on what you have kept off. So highest weight photo next to today's photo. People come to me all the time depressed about having regained some of the weight they lost. And I get it, I was there too. But I always ask, are you better off today than before surgery? How much weight have you kept off? Focus on what you're doing right because you get more of the same. In addition to photos, look at measurements, your weight, your clothing sizes, not in an emotional way, but as data. Numbers are not for judgment, they simply tell your story. If you've lost 100 pounds but still see the larger size you when you look in the mirror, compare those measurements, scale readings, and clothing sizes from your largest size to where you are today. Those numbers show that you have reached right size or that you're at least moving towards becoming right size. Your body image is super important. It's entwined with your self-esteem and how you see yourself as a person. You know what's beautiful? The fact that your body is different from anybody else's. It's part of you, part of what makes you unique. These 4 tactics, changing the conversation, wearing clothes that fit, celebrating your body, and looking at the positive data can help you put a muzzle on that mean inner critic and unfair comparisons. You can start to see your body for how wonderful it is and all that it empowers you to do. You know, it's super hard to motivate yourself to stay on track if you're living in guilt, shame, negativity, and self-loathing. It's when you learn to love your body, lumps, bumps, and all, that you'll find greater happiness and joy in life. Until next time, live with purpose, live with courage, and live with delight.